There's a spider on the wall. You didn't decide to see it. You just did. Before any thought formed, before you named it, before you fully turned your head, your body had already done something. A tightening, a freeze, a small pull of attention you never asked for. And here's the strange part. You have probably never been bitten by a spider. Not once. The odds that a spider has truly harmed you in your entire life are close to nothing. So why does a small, slow shape in the corner of a room hijack your nervous system faster than a knife left on a kitchen counter ever could? You might assume it's the legs. Too many of them, moving in a way that feels wrong. But the real answer is far stranger, and it begins millions of years before you were born. Let's start with what your fear is not. Your fear is not a simple memory. You did not flinch because something bad once happened to you. Most people who are afraid of spiders cannot point to a single moment when a spider hurt them. The fear arrived without a story. It was already there, waiting, before you had any experience to justify it. That alone should bother you. Almost everything else you fear has a reason you can trace. You fear the hot stove because you touched one. You fear the dog because one barked at you. But the spider needs no introduction. It walks into the room and your body treats it like an old enemy it has met 1,000 times. So where did this enemy come from? In 1971, a psychologist named Martin Seligman noticed something odd about human fears. They were not random. People did not develop crippling phobias of the things that actually hurt them most. Cars kill more people than almost anything in the modern world, yet there is no epidemic of car phobia. Electrical outlets, stairs, fatty food, none of them haunt the human mind. But snakes do, heights do, deep water does, and spiders do. Seligman gave this a name. He called it preparedness. The idea was simple and unsettling. Some fears, he argued, are not written from scratch in your lifetime. They are preloaded. Your brain comes into the world already leaning toward certain dangers, the ancient ones, the threats that stalked your ancestors for so long that the fear of them was stitched into the species itself. You were not born a blank page. You were born with a few words already on it. And one of those words was spider. But how would anyone prove a thing like that? How do you measure a fear that hides inside biology? This is where a Swedish psychologist named Arne Öhman comes in. Öhman spent decades studying fear, and he designed experiments that were almost cruelly clever. He would show people images, then pair some of them with a mild electric shock. The brain, of course, learns to fear whatever predicts pain. That part is ordinary. What Öhman wanted to know was whether all images were equal. They were not. When he paired the shock with pictures of flowers or mushrooms, people learned to fear them slowly and forgot the fear quickly once the shock stopped. But when he paired the shock with pictures of snakes and spiders, something different happened. The fear locked in fast. It clung. Even after the shocks ended, the body kept reacting to the spider long after it had relaxed about the flower. Think about what that means. Your brain treats a spider and a flower as two completely different kinds of information. One is just a thing in the world. The other is a thing your nervous system was already prepared to take seriously. The spider gets a shortcut. The flower waits in line. And the shortcut is faster than you can imagine. Öhman ran another version of his experiments where people had to find a single image hidden in a grid of others. Find the flower in a field of spiders, and it takes a moment. Your eyes scan, sort, search. But flip it around. Hide one spider in a field of flowers, and people find it almost instantly. The spider seems to leap out of the picture and grab your gaze before you have even started looking. This effect has been tested again and again. A researcher named Vanessa Lobu showed it even in young children, kids far too young to have built up a lifetime of spider stories. Show them a screen full of harmless shapes with one snake or spider mixed in, and their attention snaps to the threat faster than to anything friendly. The detection system is online early. It does not wait for you to learn the world is dangerous. It assumes it. So now you know your body sees the spider before you do. But seeing is not the same as fearing. Why does detection turn into dread? For that, we have to leave the laboratory and go into a forest, where one of the strangest experiments in the history of fear took place. It did not involve humans at all. It involved monkeys. A psychologist named Susan Minecka, working with a colleague named Michael Cook, studied rhesus monkeys raised in a laboratory. These monkeys had never seen a snake in their lives. Show them one, and they were curious, not afraid. Whatever fear their wild cousins had, these lab monkeys had been born without it, or so it seemed. Then Minika showed them a video. In the video, another monkey reacted with terror to a snake. The lab monkeys watched, and in that single moment, watching a stranger be afraid, they caught the fear. Instantly. From then on, they were terrified of snakes too, even though nothing had ever threatened them. That part is remarkable, but not impossible to explain. Maybe they simply learned that snakes are scary by watching. So Mineka and Cook did something brilliant. They edited the video. They took the exact same fearful monkey and made it look as if it were reacting in terror to a flower or a toy rabbit. And the lab monkeys did not catch the fear. They watched another monkey scream at a flower, and they shrugged. They could learn to fear a snake in an instant from a single second-hand glance, but they could not learn to fear a flower no matter how much terror they watched. The lesson only stuck when the object was one their ancestors had reason to dread. Sit with that for a second. The fear was not fully built in, and it was not fully learned. It was something in between, a loaded gun that only the right target could fire. The monkey was prepared to fear the snake, and all the world had to do was pull the trigger once. You are running the same machinery. You may have caught your fear of spiders the way those monkeys caught theirs. From a parent's flinch, a sibling's scream, a single startled face in a doorway when you were 3 years old and watching everything. You did not need a bite. You only needed a hint, aimed at an object your brain was already prepared to take seriously. But why spiders? Why this particular small creature when so much else in the world could kill you? The deepest version of this story reaches back further than any monkey, into the long stretch of time when your ancestors were small primates living in trees. A biological anthropologist named Lynn Isbell has argued something bold. She believes that the threat of venomous predators, especially snakes, shaped the primate eye and brain themselves. That the pressure to spot a hidden, coiled, deadly thing in the dappled shadows pushed our ancestors towards sharper vision, faster reflexes, and a brain wired to flag certain shapes as urgent. Spiders ride along on the edge of that ancient bargain. They are small, they hide, some of them carry venom, and for hundreds of thousands of years they shared the dark corners and the wood piles and the sleeping places with the humans who came before you. A creature that can hurt you, that you might not see until it is close, that lives exactly where you rest. That is the precise profile your fear was built to catch. And here is the counterintuitive twist. Your fear was never really about being right. It was about being early. A brain that waits for certainty is a brain that gets bitten. Out of 100 spiders you flinch at, 99 are harmless, and your fear is technically wrong 99 times. But the 100th one matters more than all the others combined. Evolution does not reward you for being calm and correct. It rewards you for being alive. So your nervous system made a trade. It chose to be wrong constantly in exchange for never being fatally wrong at the worst possible moment. You are the descendant of the nervous ones. The relaxed ones, the ones who looked at the shape in the leaves and thought, probably nothing, did not always live long enough to become anyone's ancestor. You inherited the flinch because the flinch survived. You can even see this fear switch on at the very beginning of a human life. A researcher named Stephanie Hole studied infants only 6 months old, far too young to have learned much about anything. She showed them pictures of spiders and snakes, and then pictures of flowers and fish for comparison. The babies could not run. They could not scream, but she could measure their eyes. And when the spiders and snakes appeared, the infant's pupils widened, the body's quiet signature of a stress response firing in the dark. 6 months old, no bite, no story, no reason of their own, and the alarm was already ringing. So look at the spider on your wall again, and understand what is actually happening. You are not weak for flinching. You are not silly. You are looking at a small, mostly harmless animal through the eyes of 100,000 grandmothers who lived in caves and forests and grasslands, each one of whom survived partly because she did not stay calm. The fear in your chest is not a flaw in you. It is a message forwarded across an unimaginable distance of time from people who never knew your name, but somehow knew this room could be dangerous. The strange thing is how loyal that message stays. You live behind locked doors. You have shoes, walls, light, glass. The spider on your wall poses almost no threat to your life, and some part of you knows it. But the older part, the deeper part, never got the update. It is still standing guard in a world that ended long ago, still scanning the corners, still ready to save a life that no longer needs saving. So the next time it happens, when your body tightens before your mind catches up, you do not have to obey it. But you might pause and notice it for what it really is. There is a spider on the wall. And the reason you saw it before you decided to look is that something in you has been watching for it since long before you existed.